Yeah. So today we will see what is the industry's anticipation from an entry-level Java developer. So Java is still widely used language that we all know in industries, right? So what are the unique features or what are the special features of? So we say it is platform independent. So student should know what a student or a developer, entry-level developer should know what do you mean by a platform independence. So when we compile it, it means into a intermediate bytecode where it can be executed with the help of a JVM, and that is Java Virtual Machine, in any OS, in any operating system, whether it is in Windows, Ubuntu, or Linux, or Macintosh, or whatever may be the operating system that you have, or Mac OS, whatever you have. So it will be able to execute in any platform. So that is the unique features of it. Then it is automatic memory management, that is nothing but the garbage collection. So usually when we have a declare a variable, or when we are not using it, or when the scope of the variable is there, we need to explicitly remove that variable, or we need to explicitly free the memory. But here it is having auto garbage collection, which frees the memory and helps us to scale up. So that is that. Then it is strongly typed language. So what do you mean by strongly typed language? That is, if you are using any particular variables or something, it should be declared what is the data type it is going to, just what kind of data type it is going into. You cannot ignore it, because while compilation it strictly checks what is the data type and it goes for it. Then of course this is an object oriented programming which supports all the object oriented pillars like inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, this and another one specialty here is multi-threading. So Java supports multi-threading, enabling developers to create concurrent and parallel applications. So you can go parallel applications also, because the concurrence is there, which was not which you were not able to see this in C or C++ that you had. So these are the unique features that is there, which Java developers should know as a base. So why we go for Java? And also coming to the speed of Java, so that needs also be discussed. Say for example, if you are seeing another one popular language today is Python, right? If you take a Python as running at 1x speed, and when you compare with the C++, you can see that C or C++ is 5000 times faster, and when you compare with Java, it says it is nearly 2000 times faster than Python. So that is the specialty of these languages. That's why still they are in the market or industry, right? And it is used mainly for a transaction, for a payment transaction. So that is it. Then variable types, we have local variables. So how it is defined, local variable? So what is the scope of it? The instance variable. Instance variable means when a class is having, and the class is having a variable in it, and when you are giving it with an object, a reference object for it, and if you are using it. So instance, so what do you mean by static? Shared among the instances of the class, then we call it as a static. Parameter variables, passing an argument to the method. So these are the different variable types that we have. Then we have data types like byte, sort, int, long, so which is very common for any programming language. Even it is something similar to other programming languages. So I'm not going in depth, but the expectation is for an industry a perspective. These are the things which should be a very base to him, and he should know it. So that's what it is covered. And what is a class? What is interfaces? How arrays are used, strings and encapsulation. Why is enumeration data type used? Why can't we directly go for so it increases the speed of retrieving the data, and it helps in performance. So that is why we go for it, instead of declaring it as a character or something like that. So arrays, then we have that collection of similar data types, giving it with restriction of limitation of what is the size of it. So those things are then comes a normal operation, arithmetic operation, increment operator, decrement operator. So here one thing that needs to be very clear for the student. Yes, so increment, we have a pre-increment post. There will be sometimes a question. Say for example, if a is equal to 5, Now if you're assigning b, so b equal to a plus plus, then what is it, what will be happening? So b equal to a plus plus. So what will be the value? So b, first it will, what it will do, it will first assign the value, then it will go for increment. That is, b value will be equal to 5, and after that a will be equal to a plus 1, a equal to a plus 1, that is nothing but 6. So this will happen after this. So this is post increment. In pre increment, what will happen in the same case, if we take b equal to plus plus of a, if I mean something like this, first the increment happens, then the assignment happens. That is, a equal to a plus 1, that is nothing but a will first change to 6, then b will be assigned the value of a, that is nothing but 6. So in this case b will have the value of 6. So that increment, post and pre-increment for increment and decrement, or pre-increment or pre-decrement, so that should be there. Then comes to assignment operation. What are the components, compound assignments also? So it is something like something they should also be knowing it. Say for example, instead of a equal to writing as a equal to a plus 1 or a plus 2, they can also write it as a plus equal to 2, which is nothing but the same as above. So same as above, so that is should be there. Then the relation operators, something like double equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, so these table. And logical operators, and or not. So these are very basics to any programming language. This is also expected for this particular Java guy also. So he should know these basic like bitwise operations and or conditional ternary operators and member access. Then typecasting. So Java supports two types of casting. That is, one is widening casting and another one is narrowing casting. So widening casting can be done automatically, so it automatically converts here. But when you go for narrow casting, you should manually declare it. So that is, when you are increasing from lower to higher side, it can be automatically done. But what does the same comes from your coming from the higher side to moving to the lower side, you should only manually. So that is narrow down casting and widening casting. So these are the things, and which is automatic and which needs to be done manually. So those things should be there. Then comes a basic for any language. What is a if statement, what is a if else statement, and a nested if statement, switch statements, where you can use nested if, where you need, it is better to go for switch, what is a ternary operator. So these things you should be very clear of it. Then comes to looping statement. Here loop statement, for loop, it is something similar to C or C++ that we see, right? So for instance, having initialization, condition, increment or decrement. So that is that. Then he should know the difference between the while loop and do loop, where you also say in certain cases he wants to run the execution at least one time without checking, even if the condition fails, then he has to go for do while. And he can use, if he use while, only if the condition is true it is going to. So those things he should be very clear what is expected. So those things. Then enhancement for loops, break statements and continue statements. So what will happen if you are run inside a loop, or if you are in a parenthesis or in a switch statement, when you use a break statement, it instantly comes up out of it. What will continue do? Continue will skip the upcoming lines inside the loop or inside the iteration, and it will start with the next iteration. So that is the difference between. So those things, they should be very clear enough. So that's nothing but that the break and the continue terminates the nearest enclosed loop of switch statement. And here I have also given some codes also. This is not one here, I'm just giving a basic understanding what is required from required to be known by a student when he is completing this particular criteria. That is it. Then comes the array constants, how he needs to do a declaration, how to initialize it, how to give a inline initialization. So those things are also needed here. So inline isolation, assignment, assigning elements for it. Then how to find the array length, iterating it with the help of a for loop. Then going for a multi-dimensional arrays, so how it needs to be declared and how needs to be used, how to copy an array manipulation. So these are the different things in arrays he should be very clear of. This is just a basic I think thing. It doesn't limits that he should know what it is. There are too much more to go. I'm just giving what are the topics that he should be making himself familiar with. Then comes method concept, declarations of functions. So how D needs to function declares what will be the return type of it. If there is no return type, what he should give, he should go for a void. So what will be the method name, what will be the what is the parameters, method body, method call, how do you call a method here. So when so what is the difference? Sometimes they get confused saying what is a method, what is a function. Are they saying same? It's almost the same, right? So only if there is something, if you are using a function within a class and you're asking it, it becomes a method. When you're not using a class and if you directly say, we call it usually a function, right? So that is nothing but the thing here. Then what are the written statements if we have void, static, so method overriding. So overriding means providing a new implementation or method inheriting a superclass. So that is it should be there. Then what is a class? So class is a blueprint of creating object an instance of a class. So that should be there. What is a constructor? And what, when will be a destructor get created? Instance variables. What are the methods? Access modifiers. So access modifiers nothing but keywords like public, private, protected that defines the visibility of the class members. And how a function is called, so refers the current instance of the class. So this, instead of using this you using directly the variable name, when we give this to means it is the current instance class variable. So that's what we mean by so encapsulation, inheritance form, using a single method to perform different actions based on the object types. So polymorphism, abstractions, object composition, method overloading. So these are the things which is expected. Then comes a little bit specific to this. So array list. So usually we see array. What is this array list? So array list in Java is a dynamical array like data structures that allows you to store and manage the collection of elements in a list. It automatically resizes itself. So that is more important. It resizes itself and elements are added or removed. This provides fast access to elements and it is suitable for scenarios such as frequently accessing elements by index. So that is the thing he should know, what is an array list. And linked list, this if we have a basic understanding from C or C++, this linked list becomes a major part, right? So linked list is a data structure which elements are stored as nodes and each node has a reference to that node. So it is efficient to insertion and remove of elements, especially in the middle of the list. So linked list is very much important. So when we go for pointers, we say that how pointers helps us in doing it. Here linked list is much needed here. And he also needs to know this different concept called a hash map. So hash map is used to store a key new pair. It offers fast retrieval of values. So hash map, when he gives a particular thing, and so that the data retrieval is very fast. And hash set is a collection that stores a unique element. So this is key value. Here you can see that it can store a collection of it also. Oh, that is the difference here. And iterator. So the iterator interface provides the way of transfer elements in a collection one by one. So iterating the items. So when we go for a for loop also, we say that iteration 1, iteration 2, oh, what is happening, right? So something like iterator, right? Then comes the concept of wrapper class, which is there in Java. So Java provides wrapper class for each primitive data types, allowing them to treat it as an object. So it will be treated as an object. This is very important. This is useful when you need to use primitives in the context of except objects like collections and methods that require objects. So this wrapper class is there. Then exceptions. So exception handling in using try catch. You should do those. So how do you handle the errors? So this is very important for any applications that you are creating, because if you don't have handle the exceptions correctly, what will happen? The complete app may get crashed, right? So which will be totally in a Hawk situation for a user, right? So you will not be having any clarity what needs to be done. Totally, it becomes right. So exception handling is a very important. So those things he has to calculate. And coming to reg expressions, so regular expressions usage. So where so say for example, if he wants to validate his PAN card number or something like that. So in that case, reg expression comes to mean. So first character is a string, or first character, the first character is a character or a number. What kind of number could be? So if you are giving this, so that becomes. Then comes to threads. So multi-threading concepts. Then threads comes into concept. So how to create the threads, how the execution happens. So these ideas he should be very clear. And we have something like special in Java is lambda, right? Lambda is the expressions that consumes the way to represent anonymous function interfaces in Java. So here you can give it as x plus a system.out.println. So here you can, instead of giving it separately, we can go it indirectly, right? So these are some lambda functions which are there. So how the usage of it. So here I am, it is not that this is only the content, I am giving the basic idea. So these are the basic things which is required from it. And each everything, so exception you can see that itself can be elaborated into wide area, saying how to write a try block, how to catch exception, what are the different what is the default exceptions, what is your defined exceptions, like that it goes on, right? So that should be there. Then comes to files. So how to write a files. So file represents the directory in a set. File input stream, how do you give a read data from files as a stream of bytes. Output stream writes the data from streams. And then buffer reader, buffer writer. So these things you should be very clear enough, because say for example, in some cases we write logs for an application to store the data, so that we get a clarity when something goes wrong. From the logs we get a clear picture. So file writing is not only for storing the some data. Usually mainly we go for logs writing, so there we will use it. Other than that, if everything is going to a database, right? So that is there. What is the scanner parts file, and the exception handling, that should be also there. So this is a basic understanding and expectation from a Java developer. Hope you got a visibility what is expected from a fresher candidate. Thank you. Meet you in another session.